Ryder's Montana Megaliths. I need to go there. All your help and donations will hopefully get me there.
Time for the gates of the mountains to open. Come with me on this journey to explore these vast ancient
And
remnants of
Melanie, as
previous
you're well,
epochs
sister,
of
you doing
worldwide
good?
civilizations. As we float along the Missouri River, it feels as if we are traveling through an ancient art installation. There's always something new to be discovered around every bend of the river. As the gate opens, we can look upriver and view the Dragon Temple at the gates.
I am Julie Ryder, the discoverer of the Montana megaliths. We are here at the gates of the mountains on the Missouri River. The Montana megaliths flow down into the tributaries and to the Missouri River, whose water flows all the way into the Atlantic Ocean. I have discovered extremely ancient megalithic cities all around you. It has been verified by satellite deep geoscans that there are pyramids, dolmens, huge cyclopean walls. 85% of it is still under the earth, underground. What we find are the markers. And then satellite deep geoscans can go 3.7 miles underground, layer the images, tell us what the artifacts are made out of. Many of the structures that you'll be seeing in these series of videos have deep, deep chambers underneath. In taking the Gates of the Mountain boat tour over and over, we have discovered flash fossilized beings. There's dinosaurs, dragons, a Sumerian king, which you will see down the river.
Sumer, king at the gates, is positioned on a central precipice, high in the center of a smooth wall that forms a parabolic resonant amphitheater. The Sumer king at the gates is very similar to the Assyrian ruler's woolly fresco in ancient Iraq. We have found several stone statues of Sumerian, Mesopotamian, and Assyrian images. Features of the Montana megaliths morph, then appear and disappear, depending on the time of day, the cloud cover, seasons of the year, and the angle from which it is viewed. So who were these ancient monument makers? It is clear to me that many of these extremely ancient sites are memorials, messages sent across the ages, rendered in the cosmic script of expressionless art. The meaning of the Montana megaliths will be debated for centuries to come. Experts tend to complicate matters. Therefore, over the last 11 years, I have been presenting photographs and commentary, revealing my first impressions. Then comes the correlations to similar features at other known sites in the ancient world. Andrew Barker stated, "Bingo, Montana megalith structures are incredible, vast, ancient, ever surprising, informative, and real." Now, we only have a fraction of the macro picture, but that is enough to understand the site's importance. The archaeologists will need many decades to formulate the micro picture. We must expect with the site of this scale that could last into the next century. Steep limestone walls on both sides of the Missouri River are covered with three-dimensional beings. There are many faces, some of which appear to be human. A human-type skull is suspended high up on a precipice enclosed in a rock dome. As we pass by, a sky window appears to which constellations show at various times of the year. The head of a rhino extends from the side wall of the Temple of Isis. His circular eye is open, again forming a sky window through which star constellations align. The horn is composed of square and rectangular blocks. Mountain Man is a huge titan. An image of the left side of the male face appears in the left wide eye of the Mountain Man Titan. It appears that two white eyes are staring at you as you approach the Gates of the Mountains pictograph site. I have photographed several pictographs created by the more recent indigenous peoples that inhabited Montana. the majority of which were painted with ochre, which is a combination of red iron minerals, urine, animal fat, and plant extracts. Often the glazes were heated with a torch, much like placing raw clay ceramics in a kiln to set the glaze. Here at the gates of the mountains are profiles of ancient faces in the rock under the paint, indicating that the faces were here first. An ancient male face with a white overglazed features a feathered headdress, much like the traditional Native American eagle headdresses worn in ceremonies today. His left eye and eyelashes are visible. You can count his teeth. On the left side of his chin, there is a dark red animal with a human face caricature. The cross over his head may be an indication of the four directions marker. My favorite activity in grade school was finding the images that were hidden in pictures. Finding the three-dimensional human, aquatic, avian, animal, serpentine, draconian hybrids in the Montana Megaliths is one of my favorite adult activities. There are a multitude of ancient beings in the rock cliffs. Pause the video and see how many you can find. It is great fun. We have played this game for years on Facebook. I find it highly compelling that since my website has been translated into over 72 languages, there are comments on my Facebook from many cultures. People from around the world identify the images on the rocks here in Montana that originated in their own culture. We are beginning the process of classifying the taxonomy of these ancient biological beings. Many of the images at the gates of the mountains are familiar to me, as they have the same features and characteristics that we have discovered in other complexes throughout the Montana megaliths. The field of astroarchaeology is growing exponentially. We are learning that ancient sites around the world align with star constellations and with the solar and lunar cycles. A large swan faces upriver toward the dragon temple at the gates. The star constellation of Cygnus is represented by the swan. There are several proof points for determining ancient intentional construction of cyclopean walls versus rock formations that naturally occur. A series of 90-degree angle cut and stacked square and rectangular blocks with vertical seams that line up is a major proof point that this formation was constructed. Long, straight horizontal seams is also an indication of possible intentional construction. Often these walls have smooth surfaces. The gates of the mountain is limestone, which deteriorates much quicker than granite. However, some of the walls are very smooth. Dragon Temple appears to be an extremely ancient, intentionally constructed temple, featuring the head of a dragon in the center. The serpentine body of the dragon flows down into the river. Formed into angular pillars that support rectangular blocks, the body of the dragon becomes a semicircular wall. There are several images of faces on the northwest upper row of blocks. On the side of Dragon Temple is a large cube formed from stacked square blocks. At the lower corner of the cube, an extremely large male figure sits on a throne facing downriver. This throned figure appears very similar to the colossi of Memnon at the Theban necropolis on the Upper Nile in Egypt. As viewed from Google Earth, the Dragon Temple at the gates appears to be a pyramid, which is similar to the Gunung Padang pyramid in Java, Indonesia. The architectural design of both temple pyramids features a similar square center, with terraced descending platforms. On one side there is a sharp decline, and on the opposite side there are extended descending layers. Eastward of the gates of the mountains, the horned dragon geosculpture is only visible from Google Earth. Threshold complex, where there are several flash fossilized dragons, follows the outline of the horned dragon's jaw. Threshold complex can be seen from the ground level. After several summers of frequently floating up and down this section of the Missouri River, my friend Robin offered a private boat ride. Here is Robin with family and friends at the Coulter Campground at the base of the Temple of Isis. Another photo shows a view of us with the cliff walls that are across the river from the temple. The Temple of Isis was constructed in a classical design like several ancient temples with a rectangular base and a triangular roof line. The Temple of Isis in Egypt has a similar square base. The Temple of Concordia in Greece also has a rectangular shape with a triangular roof. On one side of the Temple of Isis, here at the gates of the mountains, there's a concave wall that reminds me of the spread wings of Isis, the Egyptian goddess. On the same level around the 90-degree
pausing it here as there's some pretty awesome stuff by Julie Ryder. And first off, because everything she's showing here, these macro terraformed macro megalithic structures and mountains, you know, I have identified and experienced the identical same stuff here in Alberta Rockies, just north of where she is in the Montana Rockies and Kootenays. We're in the exact same ranges, and shout out Justin Slick. Thank you. Or Justin Fletcher. Happy birthday there, Slick. That was a little dyslexic of me there. But point being also that she called this place, she named it Isis Temple. And if you look at it here, oops, no, here, it's looking pretty similar to Isis Temple in the Grand Canyon. It's almost identical, and that she did that all on her own intuitively, and this looks like a face up here almost too, but it looks pretty similar to Isis Temple in the Grand
with
Canyon.
a rectangular base and a triangular roof line. The Temple of Isis in Egypt has a similar square base. The Temple of Concordia in Greece also has a rectangular shape with a triangular roof. On one side of the Temple of Isis, here at the gates of the mountains, there's a concave wall that reminds me of the spread wings of Isis, the Egyptian goddess. On the same level around the 90-degree corner on the northwest wall are square blocks on top of support pillars that are the cornerstones of the wall that faces the river. These stone blocks are carved with ancient faces. Facing the river, the large head of the rhino is supported by a flat platform. There is a second terrace above, which is on the side of the triangular prism portion of the roof, which we will be exploring this next summer. There is so much more to come as we present videos of the over 100 sites and the 46 dolmens that we have discovered in the Montana Megaliths in the United States of America.
The Ryder of Montana Megaliths. One more time, I will share this video. Make sure to go subscribe to her channel on YouTube, Montana Megaliths. I have yet to be there. I do need to go here. I also have family that lives in Montana from my mom's side, the Hunts. I'm part of the original British Hunt settler family, the famous Hunts of New York, apparently. Quite fascinating. And my family ranch in Fort Steele on my mom's side, the Bowers, a Bower German settler family as well. Apparently, the Rothschilds came from the Bowers. And that, so right there, I guess I'm from two very imperialistic bloodline families on my mom's side. Also, my grandfather on my mom's side, I never met Green, Grandpa Green. He left my grandma Green Clara and my mom Janice and her three sisters Darcy, Kelly, and Sherry when my mom was 8 years old and disappeared and never made contact again. And my mom always told me that she would know when her father had died because he would come to her in her dreams and my mom has always participated in some medium circles, spiritual groups, and energy healing, and is an energy healer as well. And when I was younger, I always just thought she was crazy and out of her mind and loony and whatnot, and was just believing the narrative and not trusting my own mother's experiences. But sure enough, the energy healing, well, that I'll talk about another day. But when you actually experience it over and over again, and then see your own pet dogs experience benefits and change their interactions with the person. Anyways, it's fascinating, real stuff. My mom is a wizard, and sure enough, uh, 10, 20 years ago now, I'm not sure how long it was. Sure enough, my mom, it was around Christmas one year, and was like, "Yeah, my dad is dead. He died." I know. And then her and one of her, maybe it was all of her sisters or one of her sisters, Sherry. I know Sherry was involved as well. Maybe Darcy, Kelly, all four. Uh, Regardless, applied to the Canadian government to because my grandfather Green was a I guess former military or served in the military at some point or something, and since he was certificate of death, or now that he had passed, they could finally release his life records to the deceased family members applying. And sure enough, my mom found out that he did die exactly then, and that he had lived, up until his 70s or 80s or something, and where he left my mom and my grandma and my mom's side of the family in Cranbrook, Fort Steele. He actually moved to Red Deer, Alberta, which is just north of where I am in Calgary, Alberta, and he had a whole new family, married another woman, and then had 3 new daughters, naming them Darcy, Kelly, and Sherry. So I now have 2 sets of aunts, each named Darcy, Sherry, and Kelly. Isn't that Jerry Springered the F up? Like, that is just another day in the world of BurnEye. And the crypto alchemist made it to the MedicineHat Badlands Guardians. We explored it there, and we determined it. I think this is pretty undeniable evidence that it is all macro terraformed, human constructed terraces, constructed all of these earthenworks, every single hill, and then these sunken areas maybe fallen in, subterranean parts that have sunken, but you see these symmetrical line terraces going up absolutely every face of every hill that are that make up these giant faces, that are called the guardians of the Badlands of MedicineHat, that are also these giant geoglyph sites, and that you are currently looking at the hills that make up this guy right here, and the giant dragon feather headdress, as well as the elongated guy, fate old man face on the opposite side of the road, the Aztec Mayan guy, and the elongated skull guy are the, and that was about 20 different hills and faces that compose these structures, and each one of them all having these symmetrical parallel terraces. Every single hillside, hill face